So now the question becomes, how do you use that contact list? And Gmail uses a contact list or an address book a little bit differently than anything I had experienced in other email clients I'd used. Let me just open up a new piece of email. So I'm going to click on the Compose Mail button. Now, a couple things I need to point out. First, let me just point out under this From, the sending address, you've mentioned having some confusion that you'll be working on Dynatech email and occasionally it goes out under the wrong email account. That'll settle down. We can control that much easier once people are sending Dynatech email to the Dynatech email address rather than the CompuServe Dynatech account. But for now, if there's confusion, let me encourage you to just glance at this From field. You'll notice over on the right-hand edge you've got the up and down arrows. That tells you there's a dialog box or a pick list. I select it, and those are your three addresses. If you know you're working in a piece of Dynatech email and you're going to want them communicating with you on the Dynatech or with you through the Dynatech account, just select Dynatech, and the email address will be changed, the signature line will be changed, and it'll work. So I would encourage you for now, pay attention to what's going on in that From field. In terms of using addresses, I tend to simply type in Gmail. So if I know I want to send an email, let's say I want to send a family email, so I'm going to click in the To dialog box. You can see I've got the blinking cursor, so you know it's ready for text. I'm going to type in my name, CLI, and you can see by CLI, it knows it's me. It pops up a pick list of all the names that it knows that might be related, just like a search on Google would do out on the internet. I'm going to simply tell it, yes, send it to Clint Kosher. So I take my mouse, left click once. There I am. We're going to send it to Cliff. And CLIF, there we go. Now, my hand's already on the keyboard. You'll notice that Cliff Kosher's already selected in the pick list. If I don't want to take the time to go grab my mouse and click once to select it, I can just simply press the Enter or the Return key on the keyboard, and it'll select it. Now, Judy, it knows about the two addresses we've given for her, so I'm going to, again, use the down arrow key on my keyboard to go to the second address, press Enter or Return, and it adds her, and then Travis Butler, and I'll select Travis. So I tend to work with my contacts just by typing them in. Once you get the list under control and you've got the names in there the way you like them, it works brilliantly. If, however, you're somebody who really wants a list in front of you to select off of, there's another way to do this. You'll notice that when I put my cursor over the To field, see how the cursor changes from the arrow to the little hand? That hand is a hypertext cursor. It tells you if you click here, something you're going to go someplace, and when I do that, it brings up a dialog box. It's the Choose from Contacts dialog box. Now again, in this dialog box, I can scroll if I want to. It's going to be massive though. You've got a couple hundred names in here, so it's probably not a list you want to be scrolling. It's much easier with all things Google to search. So I'm going to click in the Search Contact field, and the first thing I'm going to do is type in Kirk. You see I've got Kirk Butler, single left click. The check mark tells me I've added him, but then you'll notice down in the To field, I've got this little box that has Kirk Butler in it. I'm now building my address box. So I'm going to send CLIF, there's Cliff, and again, single click, puts him down here. I'm going to double click, Clint, and let's add, and there's Travis. Now, it's possible it has Travis twice because it knows about Travis through the address list, and it knows about Travis through just an email that it has in the system. So it's possible that you've got Travis twice just because it knows about him from two different places. I'm going to select Travis. Now, when I take the cursor and I click over, or just hover, I'm not clicking at all. I'm just putting the cursor over and letting it sit. You'll notice, first of all, when I'm over one of those names in the To field, I get that line through it. And then if I leave the cursor there for a second, I'll get what's called a pop-up or a tip that tells me what the email address is. Let's say I've added Kirk and I really don't want to send it to Kirk. How do I get his name out of there? Well, I just take the cursor, wait until I get the line through the box, click one time, and he's gone. Or I can add him again. Whoops, I didn't mean to delete him, so let's put him back down there. No, No, we'll put him back in. There he is. No, we really don't want to send it to him, so we'll kill him one more time. When I click on done, you can see my address, the to field is populated. It's ready to go. I also need to point out that carbon copy and blind carbon copy fields aren't on the email client by default. So if I need to use either of those, I'm going to have to click the hyperlinks for them in the compose email dialog. And as soon as I do that, that just becomes another field that I populate like anything else. We'll send that to Judy at work. So I hope that gives you some ideas. It's always easier, I think, in Gmail to just start typing and work than it is to bring up dialog boxes. It's a wonderfully quick way to work. So I hope that's helpful.